February 11th, 2025 meeting of the Richmond Sanitary District Board of Commissioners is called to order. The first item of business was to receive quotes for lawn care and landscaping services. I understand that we received no quotes for that item, so it will have to be reevaluated and rebid. Yes. So we will move on to item number 2, which was to receive quotes for e-waste removal and destruction. I believe we do have one quote for that.
So it's from Green Wave Electronics in Indianapolis, Indiana. It looks to be quite a few different breakdowns, so I'll just defer for review. But it says quotes valid till 2026 and 2027.
And we will refer that to management for a recommendation at a later meeting. The next item of business is to receive quotes for household hazardous waste removal, and we also did not receive any quotes for that item as well, so it will have to be reevaluated and resubmitted to our vendors. The next item of business is approval of board minutes from January 31st of 2025.
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for approval of board minutes from January 31st, 2025 as presented.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve invoices from check dates January 31st of 2025, totaling $211,165.27.
Approve the board minutes, or?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sick. Okay, let's back up to the approval of board minutes. I will second the motion approval of board minutes from January 31st of 2025. Are there any other discussions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now the next item of business is approval of invoices from check date January 31st of 2025.
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi.
Motion for approval of invoices from check date January 31st, 2025. The total amount was $211,165.27. There were two notables from Cronin Automotive. The first one was for $38,255. The second was for $50,000.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve invoices from check date January 31st of 2025, totaling $211,165.27. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the director's report.
Yes, Madam President and Board. I just have a few items stated at last meeting. I talked about that we will be putting together dates here probably in March and April for both our annual new Paris Pike cleanup and our extended landfill services that we do for spring cleaning. The other item I want to discuss is that we've been working on the new building where the building department will be relocated. We are advertising now. We started last week, but we believe we will be moving into that the 27th and 28th of this month. So the 27th was a Thursday. We will keep the sanitary district office at 2380 Liberty Avenue where it is now open for that day of business. The 28th, we will close that to in-person traffic, but we will have the phones open as we are setting up. We will set up then those 2 days and over the weekend, and we will be open, should be open for the public on March 3rd. I believe it's March 3rd, maybe March 2nd, March 3rd, for public to come into the new building. And that is all I have unless there are questions.
No, I think we're good. Thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve private hauler permits that will expire on 12/31 of '25. And it looks like we have 5 entities with 35 permits.
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion to approve the private hauler permits that all expire on December 31st, 2025. They would be for Family Tradition LLC for permit number 1, Rumpke Waste for permits number 2 to 22, CJM Commercial Properties for permit number 23, Highway 38 Dumpsters and Restrooms for permits number 24 and 25, and the remainders would be for Waste Management of Muncie for permits number 26 to 35.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve private hauler permits expiring 12/31 of '25. The first being to Family Tradition LLC, permit number 1, Rumpke Waste, permits 2 to 22, CJM Commercial Properties, permit 23, Highway 38 Dumpsters and Restrooms, permits 24 and 25, and Waste Management of Muncie, permits 26 to 35. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to award the bid for laboratory duties. Oops. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, did not even see that.
Thank you.
I missed that as
Well,
well.
pop right back up there. Oh. Right. We have skipped item 7, which is the recommendation to enter into an agreement with Monger Transfer for Building Department relocation.
Yes, as stated, we are looking to move in the 27th and 28th of February here. We had reached out to find local moving companies, and we're only able to locate one, Monger Transfer. They did a walkthrough in November to see all items, and they have come back and met with us to kind of refine that and look through that. But you'll see the cost estimate below with an estimate of 14 to 16 hours of work at $175 an hour. We are putting in here a not to exceed of $5,000, which is slightly more than that, but that's to accommodate any, again, it's a cost estimate. There are a lot of items that need to be moved. So we would, it is our recommendation to enter an agreement based upon this quote of $175 an hour with a not to exceed of $5,000 to do this move to our new location for billing.
Thank you. I have a question. The space that will be vacated down at the district, what is your plan for it?
So part of it is we are more than max capacity now. There's a lot of items in hallways or in closets that take a lot of work to find anything, a lot of boxes to come in and out. So there's a lot of that will be just put more properly there, and it's kind of been noted on our safety walkthroughs and things. We need to clear our hallways and things like that don't have space. There has been talk of the police using an office down there or two for overflow on their pieces, but there will be space that, again, take some things out of garages. We have some file cabinets in other buildings that aren't really weatherproof throughout the treatment plant, that all those files can come back into weatherproofing and be put in places up there at the admin building.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments, or entertain a motion?
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for recommendation to enter into agreement with Monger Transfer for Billing Department relocation as presented.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve entering into an agreement with Monger Transfer for the Billing Department relocation. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for keeping us on track here. I will now go back down to number 9, which is the recommendation to award the bid for laboratory duties.
Yes, Madam President, board members. At our last board meeting, we received 2 quotes for laboratory services. And there's a bid tab was put together and kind of lists those. In looking over those with the management, it is the recommendation to award it to ESG Laboratories of Indianapolis, Indiana, which had a bid tab of $56,019. They were the lowest, most responsive bidder to put in a package for this process.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
motion for recommendation to award bid for laboratory duties as presented.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to award the bid for laboratory duties as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve wastewater discharge permit ME 1-01-0229 for Menasha Packaging Company LLC, and it will expire on 2/11/29.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
motion to approve as presented.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve the wastewater discharge permit ME 1-01-0229 as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve Resolution 1-2025 for cost of service reimbursement from the landfill to the sewer utility.
Yes, Madam President and Board. Resolution 1 here and the next item on the agenda, Resolution 2, are annual resolutions that are basically interlocals within the sanitary district to pay for services. Resolution 1 here is, as we all know, the leachate from our landfill cells is piped directly to the wastewater treatment plant. It's tied into the overall collection system, and this is their reimbursement for that leachate that comes through. You'll see a total cost here. Break out that paying the current rate. I mean, they pay the current rate like any other user would of sewer charges, but it totals $97,611.14. I do want to say that in a typical year, it was normally around $75,000. Pre the new cell, last year it was over $100,000 because, again, you have all this surface area of a new cell that collected more rainwater. And we are about 80% now, or 90% covered of the stone on the bottom of the new cell. So over that course of that year, from it being completely open to about 80-90% now, has slowed that down. So although last year's payback was 100 and some thousand, we're, like 112, I think, or 120, we're at 97. We would expect that to continue to drop over the course of this year to probably get closer back down to that normal $75,000, $75,000, $80,000 per year on leachate.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
motion for recommendation to approve Resolution 1-2025 for cost of service reimbursement from a landfill to sewer utility as presented.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve Resolution 1-2025 for cost of service reimbursement from the landfill to the sewer utility as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve Resolution 2-2025 for the cost of service reimbursement from the solid waste to the landfill.
Yes, Madam President, Board. Say this is an annual resolution where the tons of trash brought in by both code enforcement and solid waste that go to landfill, this is that reimbursement for those tons based upon the approved ordinance for the rate fee at the landfill. Again, it's the same rate fee that any other individual would pay there, but there's that transfer back of that funds for those total tons for that year, and that totals $983,413.06 over the course of 2024.
And I think last meeting you said there was disbanding of the
The WUR, yes. So this is a fee that was paid together for last year, and we did, the tipping fee was applied to all that waste, and it was paid out. As of right now, if we were coming into, if this was 2026, I said the county still has the option to put a tipping fee back on at some point and continue some sort of solid waste district services. But if they should not, then yeah, the $2 fee that's added on here, like this year, which is a $50,000, that would fall off for when we do this resolution in '26, if there's no tipping fee implemented by the county between now and then.
And as you said, it's just an in and out. If we collect it, then we pay it back at this point. If we don't collect it, we don't pay it back.
Correct.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
recommendation to approve Resolution 2-2025 for cost of service reimbursement from solid waste to landfill.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2-2025 for cost of service reimbursement from the solid waste to the landfill. Are there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to enter into an agreement with Bader Mechanical for the Big Bubble Air Compressors servicing.
Yes, Madam President and Board. Our service agreement with OTC Industrial Technologies ended January 25th, 2025. OTC had been doing these compressors were put in during the sewer upgrade project at the wastewater treatment plant in the course of 2020 and 2021. OTC was the representative for these compressors as they were installed, and we entered into an agreement at that point in time during the project to have them maintain those. But on January 25th, 2025, that ended. On January 29th, Jeff Lohmiller asked OTC to send him an updated service agreement and a quote for 25, 26, and 27. They responded on the 29th. Jeff also asked Bader Mechanical if they could service this type of air compressor on January 14th. Bader responded on January 27th, 2025. Jeff compared both quotes. They are performing the same service work. After reviewing those quotes, Jeff's recommendation to the board is to award the new service agreement to Bader Mechanical at the annual cost of $8,843.11 per year for 3 years, starting February 2025 and ending January 31st, 2028, with the option to renew this agreement after 2025. Those additional years are options to renew for a 3-year period. Can be extended for another 3 years to January 31st, 2031. You can see the breakdown in the price request. Bader was $8,843.11, which was stated up above. OTC's quote was $12,130.20.
Thank you. Motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
recommendation to enter into agreement with Bader Mechanical for the Big Bubble Air Compressors servicing.
And I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to enter into an agreement with Bader Mechanical for the Big Bubble Air Compressor servicing. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to miscellaneous. Is there anything else to be brought before the board today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
and I will second the motion. There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.